Diphthongs? Breathings? Well, if you don't know what these words mean, well, let me tell you that they're very important to understand ancient Greek grammar. Actually, they're a fundamental part both to read and to pronounce ancient Greek. So, if you want to learn about them, you've come to the right place. Welcome. So, what is a diphthong? A diphthong is a sound composed by two vowels in the same syllable. It's the presence of two vowels within the same syllable. That's a diphthong. And that exists in English, in Spanish, in many other Western languages, and also in ancient Greek. Now, ancient Greek has two kinds of diphthongs. The first one, that we may consider normal for us, is one in which you have one vowel first and then another vowel on the right. And they combine in different ways that we shall see now to form different sounds. So that's one kind. The second kind is one that uses the long vowels, the long alpha, for instance, the eta, the omega, and they combine with an iota. But the iota does not go on the right side of the vowel, but rather underneath. And that's what we call the Iota Subscript. It's a very famous grammatical topic of ancient Greek, and we shall explore it now. So let's go. Now, within the first kind of diphthongs, we find the first example, which is alpha iota. Alpha and iota together in the same syllable sound I. I. In English, you can think of words such as high or isle, for instance, that have this same sound within them. They're also diphthongs. So, in ancient Greek, though, you can think of pais, which means boy, having this diphthong working there. Now, the next diphthong is omicron iota. Now, the famous letter omicron iota, which together will form the sound oi. Oi. Words in English such as oil or boy contain these sounds within. And as an example, you can think of the word anthropoi. Anthropoi in ancient Greek is the plural of human being, so it's human beings. And this oi sound is in the last syllable of this word. Now, we can think now of the following diphthong, alpha upsilon. Alpha upsilon. Now we will have a little change in the sound because we know from previous video that I will leave down in the description of the video how to pronounce each of the letters individually. That upsilon has this sound U, like the French U or the U with umlaut in German. Well, when combined with an alpha upsilon will not sound au, but rather will sound ow. Ow, as in cow or how. Ow. That's the sound. And as a word in ancient Greek, for instance, we have authis, which means again. Next, we have a diphthong that has a different sound than the individual sounds of the vowels that are contained within it. For instance, omicron upsilon. Omicron upsilon. So it's the sound O plus the sound U. But when combined in the same syllable, the sound will be an U. U. And in English, we have these sounds in words like cool or pool. U. U. An example in ancient Greek could be the word pou. Pou. Pou means where, that we are asking. Where is something? Pou. Pou estin. Where is whatever. Next we have epsilon iota. And now we come back to this more normal, let's say, approach with the diphthongs that we know. So epsilon iota will have the sound A. A. A by itself as a sound and as a word means if. It's like the conditional word. But another example could be the word ace, which means to or into something, like something you're going into or towards something. Next, we have upsilon iota, ui. In English, I think there are not many words, if any, for this kind of sound, but you can think of the number 8 in French, like huit, oui. That's the sound. And in ancient Greek, you have the word for sun, which is hyos. Finally, we have the last diphthong of this kind, which is epsilon upsilon or eta upsilon, which is eu, as in eudaimonia, which is happiness in ancient Greek. Now, you may think, what happens when you have two vowels in this first kind of diphthongs? Two vowels, but two vowels that are just next to each other and do not belong to the same syllable. So ancient Greek has a way to make this distinction for the reader to understand that there are two separate syllables, and that's by the inclusion of a diaeresis. And this diaeresis is like these two dots that you also have in English in words such as naive, for instance, which is imported also from French. That indicates that the syllable is not one but two. An example in ancient Greek could be the adjective aidios. Aidios. It's not aidios, but aidios. You stress that there are two separate syllables, and that means eternal. Now, jumping into the second kind of diphthongs, we have the long vowels, alpha and iota subscript, eta and iota subscript, and omega and iota subscript. So in the first case, the sound would be I. An example could be hemerai, which comes from the word hemera, which means day. But in the case of hemerai, it means a dawn or a daybreak. In the second example, a, eta, iota subscript, we have a. That's the sound, a. The definite article in ancient Greek has this sound, for instance, in the feminine dative singular, which is they. And we can use the same example for the last one, which is omicron iota subscript, oi. And we have this sound in the dative masculine singular, which is doi. Now, some people do not stress the pronunciation of the iota subscript, and that happens a lot. I've observed in countries that speak English. Instead of, for instance, I, they say ah, and they lengthen it. Instead of a, they say e. Instead of oi, they say o. They lengthen the vowel just to indicate that there were two there. However, in the style in which I will teach you ancient Greek, we shall pronounce the iota subscript. So when you hear it, you understand that there's a iota subscript there, or there's the sound iota, and then you will know when to write it down if needed. Now that we have understood what diphthongs are, now we jump into breathings. So, to breathe is like a very normal verb. We all inhale and exhale when we breathe, but in ancient Greek grammar, the breathings are a very precise concept. So, a breathing is a tiny mark, like a comma, not exactly like that, but that we put above words that start with a vowel, and we put them above the vowel with which that word starts. For instance, you can have the letter alpha, okay, but you can read that letter alpha in two different ways. You can say a, or you can say ha. What's the difference, right? So the difference is the breathing. So in ancient Greek, you have two different breathings. You have rough breathing and smooth breathing. So in the previous example, a would be smooth breathing and ha would be rough breathing. Words that could serve as an example could be, for instance, jama for the rough breathing, jama, which means at the same time, something done right at the same time as some other action. And an example of a smooth breathing would be aner, which means man, a man. So yeah, both words start with the letter alpha, however, they're not pronounced in the same way. You may think, well, why all of this is needed, right? Well, think that English, for instance, has been very respectful of the origins of words when acquiring one from abroad, so or from other culture or language. Think of the word harmony. Harmony in ancient Greek would be harmonia. But if you give that word to any native Greek nowadays, they would read harmonia because they have dropped the rough breathing. Now, in diphthongs, you also can have breathings if the word starts with a diphthong. And if that's the case, you will place the breathing above the second vowel of the diphthong so that we can understand that it's one syllable right from the start. Examples of this could be, as I said before, eudaimonia, eu, that's a diphthong that starts the word, oikia, which means house, or huos, which means sun. And finally, words that start with the letter ro, also have a rough breathing at the beginning. So the rough breathing in the end is like in English putting a H before the word. So when you laugh, when chatting, you say ha ha ha, that's a H in English. And words that come from ancient Greek into English that start with a ro would put the rough breathing, and that transliterates into RH, like for instance, rhythmos, which means rhythm. And the word rhythm in English can tell you exactly the origin, and also that there is an epsilon there. So it's a very amazing language to understand the origin of ancient words. And well, just as a wrap-up comment, I would like to address some concerns because in the most popular video so far in the channel, in which I talk with my friend Joanna about the differences between ancient and modern Greek, one topic is, of course, the Erasmian pronunciation, which is what I've been teaching you throughout this video today. So if you are Greek, or if you have any Greek friends, try to read these diphthongs, and you'll notice massive differences. So some people say, or do not believe, that the Erasmian pronunciation was in fact the way it was pronounced, this language in classical times or in ancient Greece in general. However, I have referred to it as the standard, not because of its accuracy, historical accuracy, we may say, but rather because in any academic context, this is the way we pronounce. No matter if you're from South America, the United States, France, Germany, we have agreed, and even Greek scholars have agreed within the fields of ancient philosophy, which is my field, to pronounce ancient Greek in this way so we can communicate. So we are not here in Chihon Teachers, we are not learning ancient Greek for the sake of exact historical accuracy, but rather we are reading and learning ancient Greek for the sake of translation and for the sake of reading and for the sake of communication with people who also study the language. Okay, we study these dead languages, even Latin could be the case. We study it in order to read ancient texts. That's our main goal. That's what we're aiming at. So that being said, I hope you had enjoyed the video. Please like, subscribe, share this knowledge, and we shall meet again with more lessons on ancient Greek and other topics. Till next time.